I need everybody, but especially Donald Trump's own voters, to hear what he posted in some confused late-night screed, because it is revealing on multiple levels. He took to Truth Social writing, "The Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th. If this is so, which it is, a lot of very good people will be owed big apologies. What a scam. Do something. President DJT." Now, there are a few really critical points to make here. First off, I want everybody to think really hard about who the president was on January 6, 2021, and in turn, whose administration ran the Department of Justice. That would be Donald Trump. He was the president on January 6, 2021. The whole point of January 6 was that he was trying to prevent Joe Biden from taking office by blocking the certification of Congress. So how could Biden be both a private citizen and also somehow running the Department of Justice against the guy who's claiming that the Department of Justice actually belonged to the candidate? If anybody can explain that one to me, I'm all ears. The second point that I want to make here is that either the President of the United States truly does not know that he was not president while he was inciting an insurrection to remain president, which, to be clear, is entirely possible. I'm certainly not here to defend the addled mental state of Donald Trump. And by the way, plenty of folks are rightfully mocking him. Gavin Newsom's press office tweeted in a late-night post, "Donald Trump does not remember who was president on January 6, 2021. He was. Weirdly shouts, 'Do something,' likely at clouds. His mental issues are very bad." But more likely, he knows full well what he's saying, but he simply thinks that his supporters are stupid enough to believe him even when his lies could not be more apparent. And that's something that I think is worth noting here. Donald Trump has so much oozing contempt for the people who trust him, who listen to him, that he is literally sitting here trying to convince them that Joe Biden is responsible for an insurrection that he incited when he was president, as if that information isn't readily accessible. There is no difference here than Donald Trump trying to convince his supporters that 2 + 2 is 5. The truth is right there in front of everybody's faces, and yet he has so much disdain for the people who trust him that he will tell them a bald-faced lie and expect them to just lap it up. Trump may claim to hate the left, but there is truly no one he has more contempt for than his own voters. And lastly, the third point, notice the words that Donald Trump ends his screed with. Do something. That's not an accident here. I know we might look at this and wonder who he's talking to. He is speaking to an audience of one, and that audience is Pam Bondi, his attorney general. Trump offering up edicts to his AG is nothing new. In fact, it's become the norm for this lawless president. You all remember the public decree that he gave to Pam Bondi just weeks ago. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who is never going to do his job. That's why 2 of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said, quit, that we had no case. No, I fired him, and there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer, and it's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. Well, we found out just days ago that that was actually intended to be a private message via Truth Social to his attorney general, courtesy of the Wall Street Journal making that report. He is literally issuing private edicts to Pam Bondi to tell her exactly who to prosecute. I spoke with Mark Elias about the legality of this move. Here's what he had to say.
I mean, the legal issues here make my head hurt because even before you get to that, Brian, this is the president of the United States who is supposed to be using secure communications, right? Like, after all, there are foreign actors who are trying to hack into the White House, trying to learn things. And here it appears that he confused a Truth Social post with, I don't know what, a DM using Truth Social?
That's the thing. Like, even if it wasn't a public post on Truth Social, it's a Truth Social DM, which is about as secure as, like, you know, basically shouting it from the street corner.
Correct. Also, the White House is subject to the Presidential Records Act, which means that all communications from the president, like even if the president doodles, like it's all supposed to be captured for history, and that's a federal law. And something tells me that Donald Trump's Dear Pam DMs on Truth Social, much like the Signal messages, in all seriousness, that we saw war planning going on among the vice president and Secretary of State and defense secretary. So I don't want to miss the point here that the misuse of communication channels, the willy-nilly nature of how they communicate is a legal issue unto itself before you even get to the rest of it. Now, then you ask your question about, well, what about the fact that the president of the United States seems to be dictating to the attorney general who gets prosecuted? And by the way, if you go back and read what you just read, like, we need to prosecute him because we look bad. Like, I'm sorry, what? We need to prosecute someone because our reputation is suffering? So look, this is not just a norms problem. But what Donald Trump is doing here is literally picking out his political opponents and saying, I want you to indict this person. I want you to go after that person. I want to threaten that this person will be put in prison or in jail. I want to say that this member of Congress who was exercising her rights as a member of Congress and doing her job should be indicted. And it is that is not just unprecedented. It is that is not only corrupt and not only in violation of the constitutional rights of the defendants, in violation of the rules of criminal procedure and of criminal law. It is also corrosive to the system, because here's the thing, and this is a point made to me originally by Congressman Dan Goldman of New York, who was himself a former federal prosecutor. Good prosecutors who are bringing good cases need to have the confidence of juries and of judges that they are doing it on the up and up, even when defendants in those cases accuse them of wrongdoing. And the problem is, because Donald Trump is engaged in wrongdoing, because Donald Trump is engaged in politically vindictive prosecutions, because Donald Trump's Department of Justice does act as an arm of the White House, then frankly, every defendant in every case will now say they are the victim of some political persecution. And they will also say that if they had only paid the White House, or paid tithing to someone, maybe they would have gotten a pardon. And the fact is, it'll be very hard to figure out which is right and which is not right. I mean, like, it'll be easy in some edge cases. It'll be easy if they go after Tish James. It'll be easy if they go after, James Comey. It'll be easy if they go after you. Not that I hope they don't, but there will be a whole bunch of other people who will say, well, maybe they're going after me because of that reason. And so the whole system of checks and balances in our judicial system falls apart. Our whole system of criminal law, which resides on presumption of innocence and juries doing their job and prosecutors doing their job, all collapses. But that's what Donald Trump wants. Donald Trump wants a system that is only under his control. And he is fine with there being these uncertainties as to what is political and not political, because it undermines the legitimacy of any institution that might stand up to him.
And so Trump is trying to do now what he tried to do with his previous edicts to the attorney general. He is using his position of power to dictate who does or doesn't suffer at the hands of his own Department of Justice, because his goal in office is not to help Americans, not to expand healthcare or lower costs or make housing more affordable or raise wages. His goal is to exact revenge on his political opponents, and that is what he's doing right now, with the thinnest of pretexts possible. He will literally fart out this idea that Biden incited January 6th, even though the president was literally Trump himself, because that's all it takes for Trump to have some lame justification to weaponize the government against his opponents. It doesn't even need to make sense. He just needs to say something, anything, and then his little underlings in the law enforcement agencies will scamper off and do his bidding. That is the extent to which this government is utterly lawless, and they are putting it on full display for the entire world to see. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.